to take a picture of any part of this document. You can also print it off for $17.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, please. Yeah.
So that's my great-grandfather who immigrated here. Oh. My great-grandfather immigrated to Canada in the 20s, so almost 100 years ago. According to the records, he came here in 1926. He was sailing from Antwerp, from Belgium, and he arrived at St. John. He was just 22 years old at this time. He went to Melfort, Saskatchewan, to work at a farm. Our plan is to go to Saskatchewan province, to Melfort, where he worked according to these records, and see if we can find any more information about him. So I'm really looking forward to it. Yesterday when I saw his name on the records, on the screen, I got really emotional because my grandmother saw his daughter, told a lot of stories about him, and just the fact that I cannot share this information with my grandmother anymore just made me really sad. But I'm so glad that we could find him.
We are Evelin and Ferenc. Follow us on our adventures as we share our overland trips from all around the world. We were still in Halifax when we made the decision to drive all the way to Melfort in Saskatchewan to find out more about Evelin's great-grandfather's life back in the 20s in Canada. However, with Canada being the second largest country in the world, driving from Nova Scotia to Saskatchewan is not an easy task. We love every minute of it though. Canada is beautiful and the people are fantastic.
There was a lot of snow earlier, melted, and there was a lot of rain, so now we have flooded roads. This is the first one though. Let me see.
We are slowly making progress, getting through all the massive provinces of Canada, camping all the way somewhere close to the road. After several weeks of driving, we enter Manitoba and also cross the longitudinal center of Canada.
Wow, we are halfway across Canada.
We carry on driving west with Melfort almost in our sight. We fill up our fuel tank almost every 2 days, including our auxiliary fuel tank. We carry about 205 liters of diesel, which is about 55 US gallons. Fuel prices are quite shocking in Canada, but our mood is lifted when we see the first moose on our journey. While we absolutely love being on the road all the time, we shouldn't forget that we're sitting in the van for several hours a day. So while we're making progress and driving several hundreds of miles a day, we're also trying to exercise regularly. Some say that the middle part of Canada is flat and boring, but it doesn't mean that you can't find anything interesting by the road. We drive past a place that looks like a junkyard, but by looking closer we actually discovered that someone is selling classic pickups and cars. We immediately stop to talk to the owner so that we have permission to look around. Unsurprisingly, Evelin is also very interested. I really hope that all these vehicles will find a new owner and they will be restored to their original beauty. These vehicles represent an era when cars and trucks had the courage to have personalities. Although we couldn't tell from the lack of change on the landscape, we were actually getting closer to Melfort. Our plan was to go to a local museum, a library, or perhaps the local council to find some kind of records of Evelin's great-grandfather's life in this country. Labor records showing the farm where he used to work, or perhaps an address where he used to live. Anything that we could find. We could not wait to find out more. Unexpectedly though, we ended up in a snowstorm at the end of May.
We're going to the Riding Mountain National Park. The weather is really bad. We're taking these small farm roads, municipal with these. We're taking these small provincial roads. They're not even paved. We really enjoy that though, and we'll be there in about half an hour, and hopefully we'll do some trekking as well. That's for today. And then tomorrow we should be getting to Melfort, likely to do our little investigation. Feels very appropriate.
Is it Christmas again?
It's Christmas again, as Anbr used to say.
We were on the last few hundred kilometers when we noticed some familiar names. Some villages and towns on the Great Plains of Saskatchewan have been named after Europeans, specifically Hungarians, who actually helped a lot of people move from Hungary to Canada in the 20s. Chances are that Evelin's great-grandfather János Schwaner also met a lot of people from this town that actually bears the name of the gentleman who organized the travel of thousands of Hungarians moving to Canada. Everywhere we looked, there were familiar names, street names in the cemetery, or rivers, creeks, and lake names. There was nothing else left but drive into Melfort and find out what we can.
are at the Melfort and District Museum, and we are here because we would like to find some more information about my great-grandfather. Maybe we can find some labor records. Who did he work for? Where did he live exactly? And just in general, how the people used to live back in the 20s. Let's find out. It's freezing cold.
Eaner.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know roughly the time period that he
26.
Yeah,
1926.
1926. Yeah,
Okay.
in March, 31,
And
31st
so-
of March. Yeah.
And does he give an address? Like, was he right in Melfort?
So the colonization born Melfort, Saskatchewan. So
Yeah.
that was his destination. So that's why we came here.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to put, I'll copy that name again. She's much more adept with this than I am, but we'll see.
Unfortunately, Janusz's name wasn't on the records. Evelyn already knows a lot about him from her grandmother, with incredible stories from the first half of the 20th century. When Janusz returned to Hungary with some savings, bought some land, and even bought a radio, but owning a radio in the 40s caused some trouble for the family.
But they thought that my great-grandfather is a spy, so he had to destroy it.
Oh, the
Yeah.
radio.
Yeah, the radio. Yeah.
Because nobody had radio,
yeah,
so it was
because-
suspicious.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. It's very good though that you've been able to pass on that story,
Yeah.
you know, at least, yeah. The water would freeze or whatever and they'd get blocks of ice because there was no refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
And so and they would preserve their milk and their cheese.
Gameri gave us a fascinating tour around the Melfort and District Museum. This way, Evelyn could still put some puzzles together about her great-grandfather's life.
Okay, a lot of people don't know about this. So they would take an animal, kill it first, of course, say a pig, and hoist it up there, and then dip it into boiling water to get the skin and the, and
okay,
the
right.
fur or whatever off, scald it off. Yeah.
Okay.
And we actually make our own flour, and we bake our bread in that brick oven way over there in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
For people, yeah. It's we pull up a John Deere tractor and use that motor. And so this is Ferenc, and he's getting a good shave today. He needs it for his trip in Canada. Looks like he could use a haircut too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the barbershop from 1952.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you be careful.
Very trusting.
Yeah. Very comfortable chair.
Yeah. Well, that's great. The barbershop were wonderful social situations for people. Yeah, the men used to sit and
Even today, I guess.
even today.
Yeah.
And usually the postmaster would live upstairs. And see, a lot of those tins are, Blue Ribbon tea is still available, Sunlight soap, a lot of the different things, yeah. And this was the accounting box. So they would put slips, and then each page was for a different family or off, and then they would be able to pay. So they kept accounts all the time, yeah. I say that we let kids do things, but quite often it's the adults that like to do all of this stuff.
Unfortunately, we couldn't find out anything specific about Janusz's life. However, we learned a lot about his life in Canada, how he lived, what kind of tools he used, whom he might have met, and what kind of a life he led in Canada before moving back to Hungary in 1932 due to the Great Depression. It was incredibly interesting to look back 100 years in time and find out a bit more about Evelin's family's history. Now it's time for us to head to the mountains and look for new adventures.